Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now August 5th of 2023, and given that there's a lot of things up and coming for Disney that they're struggling with, including the Marvels, the Snow White 2024 film, Wish, and even right now they're dealing with the negative reviews of the Haunted Mansion, and even, of course, the pretty much, non-existent people tuning into Secret Invasion. There's a very low audience scores for that show. There's very few people tuning in than they previously expected, and so that's really not turning out for the best for them either on the Marvel side of things. So pretty much everything everywhere for Disney right now is not doing too well for Bob Iger and the board. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, we know that Snow White 24 is going through a lot of major problems, alright? We know that the marketing is really much a tragedy for Disney right now. They have no idea what to do. And coming out of their multiple emergency meetings for Snow White, the Marvels, and other major, blockbusters, or what they view as major blockbusters for this and next year, they're really trying to find a way to market this movie properly that's not going to ignite more backlash. And so that's another thing that they're trying to do. They're trying to give Snow White the Barbie treatment, essentially, where they kind of hide what it's really all about, behind the curtains. Now, let's get into the overall, details about what's going on here with Snow White, specifically in the third act. Now, we know that Bob Iger and the board have been causing a lot of trouble for Gal Gadot. It's so much to the point that she walked away from the prequel movie that was titled Clementiana, which is said to be the new name of the evil queen. However, with Disney and Bob Iger dealing with endless backlash for Snow White, one major development surrounding this film has much to do with the Snow White ending scene that is going under a major makeover, or already has, by Disney after their most recent emergency meeting. Both Bob Iger and the board finalized something specific and came to an agreement that the film needed heavy revisions not long ago, and that they moved forward with canceling out the entire ending for Snow White by swapping it with another one that is reportedly going to cause much criticism by the general public. The ending that Disney canceled involved the full-on death sequence of the evil queen, just like in the original 37 film, where she falls off a cliff followed by a boulder smashing on top of her. Now, like in the original, this happens off camera. However, this time, the boulder was seen literally falling on top of Gal's version of the evil queen. Disney felt that this was too dark and violent for young audiences and kids, and didn't focus too much on the seven dwarfs, which they call the magical creatures, by the way. The ending was that the ending that they did choose in the long run is said to involve one of the worst acting scenes done by Gal Gadot in her career, and which is something why she ran into many issues with Disney over all of this. The scene that Disney chose to throw in instead involves the evil queen facing the seven magical creatures that are supposed to be the dwarfs in a fight while Zegler's Snow White is knocked unconscious. So, before I get to the next major piece about this that makes it even all the more complex, is that not only is the new ending said to be a variant of what they were doing with the original one and how it honored the 37 original movie, but in this scenario, the one that they chose I think is hilarious and it's just terrible. The fact that you have the evil queen fighting the seven magical creatures, I can only imagine what that's going to look like on screen as they're defending Rachel Zegler's Snow White while she's pretty much defenseless. She really can't get up, she's unconscious, and this is where it gets even worse because we know that basically this variation, or this variant of the evil queen, I should say, is supposedly a mixture of many iterations that we have gotten over the years in different Snow White movies and or adaptations. And so I think that's why this one's going to come across as inauthentic, while Gal had a lot of problems with Disney's direction of the evil queen. And they've been cutting out a lot of scenes, by the way, of Gal's performance, not just in the third act specifically for the ending, but also for a lot of major sequences. And we've talked about this last week for Act 1 and Act 2. And so in this scenario, it gets even worse as we go through this development. Let's discuss further. Now, on top of this is where things progress. This is where Zegler's Snow White is actually using a magical staff made by the magical creatures. The dialogue delivered by Gal before her death is best described as subpar and embarrassing through the test screenings of the film that were actually presented. However, it was Disney's only option to avoid the violence. Gal's evil witch, or queen, reverts to her previous form, where she's normal looking, and eventually dries up into a mummy-like figure and falls into the mud in what appears to be a graveyard. The acting by Gal, however, is the one major negative reportedly about the scene, so much that Gal is furious with Disney for moving ahead with this variation instead of the one that she put her whole heart and soul into. So basically that's the bigger picture here, why Gal has an issue with Disney and why she walked away from Disney, why she walked away from that prequel film. This was the main reason we talked about this last week too, that she was so unhappy with how she did her take, a specific take on the ending that they chose for Snow White 2024, and Disney is so far sticking with that right now, and Gal is very unhappy about that, because she knows it's going to stick with her for a very long time, similar to the whole Kal-El no, clip. It's said to be a lot worse than that, and quite, extended than that. So, this whole scenario showcasing Gal's bad acting in comparison to what was supposedly great acting in the other ending, I could see why Gal would be angry, but look, I gotta say this, Gal should have never signed up for this movie to begin with. I think that somebody of her status, somebody that's so well known in Hollywood and just everywhere, should have really been able to think for herself and wonder, what's Disney's track record like? When you're thinking about fans, when you're thinking about the audience, what's their track record like? Don't think about money, don't think about just flat out success, think about the people and how people view you as an actor or actress. That's what she should have done. She should have researched it, she should have had her agent research this more so, even her manager getting involved. And I'm sure that they did to a degree, they just didn't research enough about how terrible Disney really is when it comes to decision making and leadership skills. They just don't know how to do anything like that. And so that's why I believe Gal she woke up, I should say, and then she realized what happened with Snow White and why it's so out of touch with the original ending and how they chose very bad acting that's really not going to resonate well. So I think it's going to be right up there. If not, I think it might even dethrone the Kal-El no moment by Gal. All respect, but that was pretty bad acting in that film as well. But I think that this is going to top that. I really do. Because if it really brought her to such an extra length of walking away from a project, that's when you know it's bad. And Disney's got to change this ASAP. So anyways, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about this whole scenario between Gal, the new ending, the canceled ending, and what Disney chose. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon.